Shalom, today is January 2nd, and it is the 88th day of the war between Israel, Hamas, and Hezbollah. But today the newspapers are not opening about news about the war, but rather about a judicial drama that happened last night. It reads here, the end of the reform. If you remember, there was a big judicial reform or attempt of a reform. We'll read more details soon. And we see here Esther Chayut, she was the president of the Supreme Court, but right now she's the head of the panel of judges. And this is Yariv Levin, and he's the minister of justice. The newspaper is full of it. Also, Haaretz shows who was for it, who was against it. Here there are 6 pages all about this with columnists about activism, how activism is it worthwhile, what happened to how democracy won in this case, who was for it, who was against it. If you remember, in July, the Knesset legislated its amendment to a basic law saying the court can't use the reasonableness stature in their decisions. And on Monday, last night, the court issued its ruling to overturn what was passed in July. So really, it is like the court telling the Knesset or the government, you can't tell me what to do. And if it continues, the Knesset might tell the government the next stage, no, you can't tell me what to do. And we hope it won't cause a constitutional crisis right now in the middle of the war. But we do see it did not pass with a great majority. It was actually a razor-thin majority. It was 8-7, 8 that supported this. And it reads that it's the first time that the Supreme Court is involved in an amendment of a basic law. But this is happening in the middle of a war, and hundreds of soldiers, tens of thousands of soldiers are dying and fighting side by side, leftists with rightists, secular and religious. The last thing the country needs right now is a reignition of old divisions. From October 7th, the country showed great solidarity and unity of purpose. We hope this continues during the war. The fighters and the soldiers need to stand together, and that this old division will not divide again. Here's more about this. And here's the first headline about the war. It says, Israel b'milchama, Israel is at war. The plan to fortify, the villages. They're speaking about the communities of the villages around Lebanon, the border with Lebanon, and around the border with Gaza. They have a plan to fortify these because the motivation is to bring back the evacuated families that have been evacuated since October 7th. They want to encourage them to come back to their homes. And here's some operative steps to build protective barriers against anti-tank missiles that may be shot from the enemy, to put up some obstacles against penetration. Here in the photograph, we see one of them to protect the highway from shooting, and also to add dozens of reserve battalions that will patrol between the villages. But the big question is this: will relying on these different steps and on different means to protect ourselves, as we did before October 7th, will this give the residents enough of a sense of security to be able to go back to their homes and feel safe to live there? And the answer is on the next page, as we see one family that is representing many families that say, no, we do not feel it's safe enough. They are criticizing the outline. And even the mayor of Sderot city in the south says, no, there's no security and there's no education. There are no schools for the kids right now in Sderot. So it's an absurd decision to have the families come back to their homes. Next is about a soldier that died yesterday, Amichai Israel from Karnei Shomron, 24 years old. And it says that Amichai traveled the world. He got the reserve call to come and fight. And he got on the airplane and came back to the country immediately to fight. And he died yesterday in a battle in the northern part of the Gaza Strip. Also, Elan Vice, that was announced missing since October 7th. It is finally approved that he was actually murdered on October 7th. I guess there were problems in identifying his body. His wife and daughter were kidnapped, and they were returned home in one of the stages in the hostage release agreement. Hatamnun mitaharan, the octopus from Taharan. This article is talking about Iran, how it is acting as an octopus with different lengths of arms. One of them is Gaza with Hamas and the Islamic Jihad. The other one would be Hezbollah in the north, in Lebanon. And the other one would be the Houthi rebels and the Shiite militias that are acting also against anything that is pro-Israel. And it reads that the coordination level between Hezbollah, the militias in Iraq, and the Houthi rebels in Yemen, it's at its peak. And well, this is what an investigative report shows from the Washington Post. But the head is in Tehran in Iran. And a U.S. senior official says that the war in Gaza, for the first time, has put all of the anti-Israel sides into one basket. They're working together. They meet steadily. They've got plans, and they're also independent as well. In the picture, we see an Iranian warship that was sent to the Red Sea. So, yep, Iran is becoming a very significant, or it turned to be a very significant player in this war in Gaza. They're controlling a lot of what's going on. This little article down here reads that 1/4 of Americans say that the reports on the sexual harassment or attacks, including rape, that happened on October 7th by Hamas, that these reports are too exaggerated, they're embellished, they're not true to reality. When you hear the stories firsthand, you see how true they actually are. But it takes time to share about those tough things. The last article in the back is about the January 1st babies in Israel. And there's some different hospitals, pictures from different hospitals in Israel. It reads, Tinokot shel tikva, babies of hope. And alongside the joy that comes with the new boys and girls of the year 2024, the parents and the midwives have one request and one hope, that this year will be a better one. These are the main headlines in the Hebrew newspapers for today, January 2nd. For more stories, go to All Israel News and follow us on social media. You can subscribe to our YouTube channel. Thank you. This is Rotem Magen for All Israel News.